Hey all, it's Rad, and today we're starting another long-term project, and it's not fighting game related for once. It is, however, wrestling game related. Pro wrestling game related, as a matter of fact. I wanted to cover all the wrestling games put out by a single wrestling promotion. And when you think wrestling, when you think pro wrestling, the WWF is usually at the top of that list. The World Wrestling Federation, the worldwide leader. But there are far too many WWF games to cover. So I had to go for something a little smaller, a little simpler. A reasonable amount of games from a company that isn't as widely recognized as the WWF, but they fought their butts off to compete with them. We're going to be playing every single WCW game over the course of the next 10 weeks. And there are a few of them that stand above the rest, but there are others that, well, we have to cover. With that in mind, let's get to our opening contest.
World Championship Wrestling!
This is WCW World Championship Wrestling for the NES, a game so old, in fact, that WCW was still a part of the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. This was put out around the spring of 1990, and it's based off of a Japanese game called Superstar Pro Wrestling, put out by, well, pretty much the same publisher. So we took that Superstar Pro Wrestling game and just slapped a bunch of WCW wrestlers on there. Hence why you saw Ric Flair with the jumping neck breaker and not his signature figure 4 leg lock. I wanted to focus on some of these profiles because a lot of their art is noticeably hilarious, like Lex Luger here, looking like he's a Lex Luger head sticking out of a volcano. So that's Ric Flair, Sting, and Lex Luger, the holy trinity of old school World Championship Wrestling. But then you start getting down the list of, okay, Mike Rotunda here, aka IRS, is part of the selection. And here are your marquee NWA wrestlers, the Road Warriors. It was easy to slap them into this game because they were in Superstar Pro Wrestling as well. The Road Warriors had an interesting couple of years within the period of 1989 to about 1991. They were in Japan, they were in the NWA, and then they were in the World Wrestling Federation at least a couple months after this game launched. So you properly advertise NWA stars like the Road Warriors when they were in the WWF by the time this game came out. Yeah, there's definitely a few choices that don't scream WCW to you. You could tell some of them were friends with people in the back, like, no offense to Dr. Death Steve Williams, God rest his soul. Like, a powerhouse to end all powerhouses. Wouldn't even make the top 12 for me in 1990s WCW. I guess late 80s WCW at this point. And Rick Steiner, who I don't think can get his name spelled correctly. Rick Steiner is here, no Scott Steiner. Come to think of it, I haven't completed the roster list yet, but spoiler alert, there's no Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack would have been noticeably popular around this time. Like, this was put out spring 1990, it would have been around the time of Clash of the Champions 10. Of course, that's the famous match where he, like, hit his head when he was thrown out of the ring. Bit of a nasty bump. here's the other member of the WCW roster. You may not remember that fondly. The towering WCW master. It's just Andre the Giant. Put a mask on him.
World Championship.
Also, that L looks like a dick and balls. I'm sorry, I can't unsee that. Alright, so let's get on with playing this WCW game. For gameplay purposes, because we're not doing a full playthrough here, no, you have to beat the entire roster twice over, and then you have to fight the WCW Master. I would do it for other pro wrestling games, not here. We're using Dr. Death. Steve Williams. Because if there's one thing we're going to need to get through this, it's power. You can select some wrestling moves. They will be prompted by the A button whenever you lock up with your opponent. Now on to the game part of the game. Which is just a punch and kick fest. You see, your goal here is to punch and kick your opponent so badly that they simply topple over in pain. Usually it's a kick fest because the CPU definitely has the advantage here. You walk up to them, you lock horns, you hold down a button and a command and let go at just the right time, and that's WCW Wrestling. This is not a great opening contest for WCW. Simply because it's not even the best wrestling game on the NES. I'm not saying their competitor's version was that much better, but, like, more fictional wrestling.
Yeah.
And we get counted out. What a heel, that Michael Hayes. Sorry, you have to press A and B together to run, and can't exactly do it on, like, short notice. I wish I could give this game more respect, but that would require me to, you know, be competent at it. The computer is just hell-bent on throwing you out of the ring. Occasionally, the crowd will toss a weapon, and no, that is not a DQ. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time, just outside the ring. I'm just going to run away from you, because I can tell you're the walk-in brawl type. Yeah, I don't find this game very engaging. I find it to be more a struggle of buttons. And that's not what you want from your wrestling game. You want control. Oh. Yeah, no. I mean, you can throw them against the ropes. It's a matter of if they come back or not. Please try to keep the action in the ring. Please. I'm begging you, Mike. If this is how we're gonna do it... Yeah, you hold the button down, release at just the right time, and that determines the damage you do. You can tell how much health a wrestler has by how high the bar goes. Admittedly, there is a punch button. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because you keep your distance and kick them. It's the only way you're getting things done here. I told you about the outside the ring. Now, if this were traditional NWA, that would have been a disqualification. There's certainly a diversity in your move list. Like, you can do lariats, you can do slams, you can throw them against the ropes, which I do not advise. And the moves look as authentic as you can get for the NES. It's just the game itself. You don't necessarily feel... it doesn't feel competitive, it feels like a jobber squash. Strictly because, yeah, it turns into a kicking affair, the CPU has the advantage when it comes to range. Oh, not even. But yeah, it's not the best effort. Not even just skill issue here. It's more along the lines of not very engaging. There are, like I said, there are a variety of moves. It's just a matter of if you'll be able to pull them off. If the game will let you. Spoilers, it don't. So that's WCW Wrestling for the NES. I would give it about a 1.5 stars. There's decent presentation for an NES game, but it's the control that bogs it down. Now, if you want to play a pro wrestling game on the NES, look no further than Pro Wrestling. This was put out a couple years before WCW Wrestling. And to be honest, it's a lot more competent in this department. It's full of a bunch of classic characters from all over the world with their own unique moves and personas. It accurately captures the cartoony nature of pro wrestling, while putting in a couple of wrestlers that exemplify athleticism. So you get a good mixture of your weirdos and your genuine workhorses. I'm going to show you this formula done right. So it's a 1 to 2 player game. You select your wrestler by pressing left and right on the D-pad. I use King Slender, of course, because it's just easier to get to his finisher. It's just a game that moves faster. Like, you can tell. You can see it. You can see the speed. It is one of those games where you have to use weaker moves to soften up your wrestler so you can get to the heavier moves. At least one of the directors on this game, I think it's the director of this game, he would later go on to work on the Fire Pro Wrestling games, which, man, that's a pedigree on its own. So yeah, you lock up with your opponent if you get close to them. Fastest gun wins. You can pick him up or you can pin him. There's not exactly any downed opponent offense just yet. And with that, there's indicators to determine if you're low health or not. But we... Oh, the backbreaker! He kicks out of the backbreaker! I've never seen that in my life! There's also top rope maneuvers! Including top rope maneuvers crashing and burning. So that is the excitement of pro wrestling on the NES. Leagues above WCW's effort. I'm just gonna do one more match here since I gave WCW 2 matches. I have so much fun playing this. It's rudimentary, it's simple, but admittedly that was the NES. So long as you get it right. I'm pretty sure... Oh, wow, out of the ring, even. So there's indicators for when you are starting to get low on health. You know what, we're just gonna take this outside of the ring. Why would you want to do anything else? Come here. Oh, cheap shot. Gotta hit him with the backbreaker. Not even a 2 count. Oh no, the somersault. He really wants to end this match early. Crashing and burning, that's why they call it high risk. He really wants to finish this match in style. Get out of the way. Like, it's presentation that makes this game win. The impact of certain moves when you hit your signature move and the crowd roars. Put him down. No, he kicks out of 2! Alright, gotta make it count. Ah, fast count and it didn't even do the thing. And a big splash! Yes! I could play this game for miles, so let's end the video here.